Welcome back, guys. It's Colin with the Sun Pirates TCG, and we are back with our fifth and final part of our reviews for GD02 Dual Impact. So today we're talking about Purple, which is the newest color to Gundam card game, and we have quite a bit to unpack here. So, like I said in previous videos, we're going over the main archetypes and strategies coming out of this color. I'm not going over every single card, just the ones that I think are most notable, but if I missed anything super important, do let me know down in the comments below. But going into it, we'll get into the Vulture stuff from Gundam X. So we have the level 7 5 cost Gundam X. It's a 6-5 in stats, so it's slightly above rate compared to something like the Freedom and Justice. It has suppression naturally, which is cool, and then during Link, if you have 7 or more in your trash, all of your other vultures get AP plus 2. I don't think the 7 in trash is going to be super hard to get, especially at that stage of the game, though vultures does not seem to be a very go wide kind of strategy, so I don't know how relevant the plus 2 across the board is going to be. It's definitely nice to pump something up to 5 power to break your opponent's base, and then get in with the Gundam X's suppression, so that's cool too. It does link with Garrod Ran, which I'll have up on the screen here. It's actually Garrod and Tifa together as a pilot. They're a level 4 1-cost pilot, +1 +2 in stats, so with the Gundam X, it turns into a giant 7-7, which is pretty nice. And then when paired, you discard 1, look at the top 3 of your deck, and add any vulture unit to your hands. So you do have to play a good number of vultures in your deck if you want to make sure you hit that ability consistently, but if you do, it is pretty nice filter otherwise. Now the Gundam X in of itself, it is a big 7-7 beat stick for no reason, which is nice. I don't know if that's good enough compared to something like the Wing Gundam Hero Yui pair, which comes down a turn earlier, sometimes even 2 turns earlier if you ramped up to it. And not only that, but the Gundam X doesn't actually affect anything on the board, so if you're against an aggro strategy, I don't think having like a big dump beat stick that can deal 2 damage is actually what you want, because your opponent's just going to overrun you with all their weenies, right? Again, being at level 7, like I said in previous videos, is a bit of a detriment when we're in a very aggressively focused metagame, just because it's hard to like have this in your hands while your opponent's trying to beat you down with a bunch of other weenies, right? Now, in a more controlling matchup too, if it's like blue-white blockers, or even green-white, and they just have like multiple blockers set up on the board, or even just one just to like block the suppression, I don't know how worth it is then. So we'll definitely see. The Gundam X is just big and flashy, but it doesn't actually do anything on the board, so it's going to take some convincing for me personally to see it in action and actually like say whether it's going to be good enough, right? But moving on to the other Gundam X, this one I'm actually more impressed with. It's a level 4 3 cost, 3-4 in stats, so it's on par with other things. And then during pair with a Vulture pilot on destruction, you add back any Vulture unit from your trash to your hand that's level 5 or lower. So I quite like this one. There's not a whole lot of targets for it at the moment, but down the line as they print more Vultures potentially, then we can definitely make an argument there. The link with Garrod Ran 2 is nice as well. You can pitch, like, for example, your level 7 Gundam X. You trade this into something, or your opponent eventually has to destroy it because, you know, it's like a 4-6 link pair, right? And then you get to add back the Gundam X that you pitched earlier, so that's kind of nice as well. There are a couple of other targets for this potentially. We have 2 copies of the Gundam Leopard, funny enough, at level 5. So one of them is a level 5 4 cost, 4-4 in stats, and during your turn, while there's 7 or more cards in your trash, which again, I don't think is super hard to achieve, this unit cannot receive effect damage from enemy commands, so it's impervious to things like close combat and battle evases. Granted, it does seem a little bit situational, so I don't know if this one would actually see play, but it does link with any Vulture trait pilot, which is nice. I do like units like that where they have that added flexibility. And then we have the other Gundam Leopard, which is the exact same stats and exact same cost. So on deploy, if you have 7 or more in your trash, you choose one enemy that's level 4 or lower and rested, which is nice. You get to hunt down a lot of things despite their power or despite their HP. It does only link with Roibei Alloy, which is a command pilot hybrid. The effect is kind of whatever. It lets you attack an active enemy unit using your Vulture and assuming you have 7 or more in your trash. I don't know if this effect is super worth it for just spending a whole card to do that hunt down ability, but making the link pair with the Leopard, making it a 5-4 that can hunt down a lot of things, then I actually think there could be an argument there, but we'll definitely have to see. And then the last Vulture unit I want to talk about is the Gundam Airmaster. This one I really like. It's a level 4 3 cost, 4-3 in stats, and it's a blocker. So it's inverted stats from the Launcher Strike Gundam, but being 4 power means it can trade into a decent number of things, kind of like the Resell, right? Where you can potentially trade into a Kshatriya without a link pair, you can trade into Ale Strike without a link pair, Launcher Strikes, you know, things of that nature. So I do like that. And then just the fact that it's a blocker outside of white gives you that added flexibility for other color combinations if you want to play like a slower mid-rangey game. So I am pretty partial to blockers of that nature, especially when they are decently setted like this one. And it links with any vulture, so down the line if we get more vulture pilots that are good, even Garrod in of himself is a pretty good link with it. You make it into a 5/5 and then you get to do that search ability. So I actually quite like this one a lot. And then for the base in this archetype, we have the Frieden. It's level 2 and 5 health, which is cool. On destruction, you place the top 2 cards of your deck into the trash. So just mill 2 on destruction. It's kind of whatever. I don't like that it has to be on destruction versus on deploy. I feel like it wouldn't be too busted if it was on deploy really, but your opponent has the agency over when they want to destroy that base to give you that mill 2 if you're really trying to get that 7 in trash to enable your stuff. So again, I don't know, it's kind of whatever. There's probably other better bases you can play, so we'll see with that one. But then let's move on to the other main archetype for this color, which is for Iron-Blooded Orphans. So quite a few of these cards we've already talked about from our previous video on ST05 when we were going over those reveals. But to go over them again briefly, we have the Barbatos First Form. It's a level 3/2 cost, 3/2 in stats, so inverted from something like the gun cannon. And on attack, if this unit is damaged, you draw 1 card, which is really nice. Drawing cards, like I said in previous videos, is quite a premium in Gundam card game. So if you can enable that damage easily, then drawing those extra cards, that's really, really nice. With Mika, it already enables that right off the bat, being a 5 power that you could draw a card so it immediately replaces itself. I actually quite like this a bit. Even if you just playing this with Mikazuki, it's probably good enough, but there are other ways to enable it, such as like with Iron and Blood, and with this other card that we're going to talk about, which is the Gusian Rebake. It's a level 5 forecast, 3/5 in stats, so it's 1 lower in power compared to the Ale Strike, but 1 higher in HP. And it is a blocker, which is really nice, and on deploy, you choose one of your units and 1 enemy unit, deal 1 damage to each, so it's exactly like Mikazuki. My only qualm with this one at the moment, which isn't really much of a qualm down the line, but at the moment it doesn't do much, is the fact that it links with Akihiro. The problem with Akihiro is that while he reads really strong as a pilot, is that there's actually no new targets for Tekkaden to fetch back with his ability. It's really just a Grace custom and the CGS mobile worker from ST05. And I don't think you really want to be playing the mobile workers, so yeah, it's really just 1 unit that can realistically get back with this link pair at the moment, so I'm not sure if that's really worth it. You probably just play the Gusian Rebake just by itself without the pilot. But again, that on-deploy ability is really nice. It's extra pingers in your deck if you want to play something like blue-purple or purple-red, and then again, you get to enable your Barbatos First Form, which is really cool. We also have another damage enabler, which we talked about in the previous video, in the Ryusei Go. It's a 2/2 at level 3, so a little bit understated, but on deploy, you choose one of your units, deal 1 damage to it, and then you draw 1, discard 1. Again, this one's a little bit whatever as well. It's nice to have that additional ability to enable your damage. Also, it links with any Tekkaden, which is nice as well, but just by itself being a level 3/2 cost at 2/2, especially if you have to use it to damage itself because the effect is mandatory, it really comes down as a 2/1, so very understated for what it is, so I'm a little bit skeptical on this one. But then in the series, we also have an adjacent faction in the Teiwa stuff. So we have a couple of units here. It's the Hyakuri at level 4. It's a 3/3, so a little bit understated compared to other level 4s, but when paired with a purple pilot, if you have 3 or more Tekkaden or Teiwas in your trash, you get to choose an enemy unit with 3 or less AP and rest it. So it's kind of backwards from the gun cannon, which is based on HP. This one's based on AP. So it's kind of interesting. It doesn't link with any Teiwas trait though, which is nice. The only other Teiwas unit in the set is Immediate Hyakurin, which also links with any Teiwas trait. It's a 3/4 vanilla, so it's just like the same thing in any other faction, right? And then we do have a couple of pilots as options here. We have Laughter, which is a burst pilot, level 4, +2/+1. And then on attack, if this unit is damaged and level 5 or lower, it gains high maneuver for the battle, which is cool. The only thing about it is that, as you saw, the Teiwas units don't actually damage themselves in any way, so you have to enable it through some other means, like with Iron and Blood, or using the Gusian Rebake that we just talked about. So as far as using it as a link unit, it's a little bit awkward to get that high maneuver, but I will say it can be used on any unit. It doesn't actually have to be linked to get the high maneuver. So other units like the Gusian Rebake, which can damage itself, you can maybe put it on if you want to wait a whole turn to attack with the high maneuver. So there might be some options there, but yeah, I'm not sure about this one just yet. The only other Teiwas pilot is a command pilot hybrid in Amida Arca or Sisterly Care. This ability is interesting. Its main/action if a friendly Tewas Link unit is in play, you choose something that's 2 or less AP and destroy it. For the same cost and level though, I don't know if you would rather play this over something like Fatal Strike, which can just straight up destroy any level 3 unit. So being the Tewas pilot is nice, but again, you kind of have to go through hoops to get that destruction ability. It is at action speed though, so that's kind of nice, but again, like, actually having the Link unit in play when there's so few Tewas units to be playing with, I'm not sure if this is really worth it. And then we also have a base with the exact same ability to destroy a 2 or less AP unit if you have a Tewas Link unit in play. It's fine. Again, there's probably better bases to be playing, especially because you have to jump through hoops just like the Amida to get the destruction ability. And moving on, we actually have a third archetype in purple, which is the Vegan faction from Gundam Age, though it's really just 4 cards at the moment. We have the rare Zetas. It's a level 5-3 cost, 5-3 in stats. During pair on attack, you choose one of your other units and destroy it. If you do, choose one enemy unit that's level 4 or lower and deal 2 damage to it. So notably, you can trigger like your own on-destruction abilities, funny enough, off of the Zetas, and then kill your opponent's weenie character. It also links with Desol Galette, which can help it enable its own ability. So Desol is a level 4 pilot, +2/+1, and when linked, which again, the Zetas is the only eligible target at the moment. You choose one Vegan unit that's level 2 or lower from your trash and pay the cost to deploy it. There's only 2 level 2s in Vegan at the moment, which is the Gafran, which is a 2/3 vanilla. It's one of those 1-cost level 2s that, you know, has like higher stats but cannot choose the enemy player as an attack target. And then we also have just a level 2 cost 2/3 vanilla, and those are the only 2 targets for Desol at the moment. But I think down the line potentially we could get more cards printed for this faction that are level 2 or lower that you could revive off of Desol, so definitely be on the lookout for that. I actually think Desol as a pilot is pretty strong if we get more Link units, and even the Zetas in of itself isn't that bad, so there's potential there. But as far as building a deck around it, I'm not sure if it's worth it just yet, but like I said, definitely be on the lookout. And then to top it off, we'll go over a few commands that don't belong to a specific archetype but are kind of interesting. So we have Awaken Power at level 6, it's a 2 cost. Choose one unit that's level 5 or lower from your trash, pay the cost to deploy it. So notably, it's level 5 or lower, you cannot revive something like your Wing Gundam Zero. I wish, right? But you can revive things such as, like, I guess your Kshatriya, your Ailstrike, so to speak. So in those 2 examples, you would have to pay 2 and then pay 4 for those units to revive them, so that's 6 resources overall. I don't know if that's super worth it, especially if you want to make the link pair, you have to pay another resource for the pilot, so we're talking about 7 resources to do all that, which is pretty pricey. Maybe if there's a deck out there that's like super combo oriented, like there's a specific unit that you really need to get out of your trash or to like use its effect repeatedly, then maybe Awaken Power has some argument there. But I don't know, with the card pool being what it is, that it's quite worth it at the moment. But again, down the line we could see maybe there's some really important combo that you can enable with this card. Moving on, we also have Decisive Last Resort, which is a level 5/4 cost, and it's a straight up removal spell, which is really cool. So on burst, you choose an enemy that's level 3 or lower, deal 2 damage to it, kind of like close combat, so it's kind of whatever on that one. And then activate main, choose 6 purple units from your trash, exile them, and then choose one enemy unit, destroy it. Doesn't care about level, doesn't care about stats, doesn't care whether it's a link pair or not, it's just straight up gone, which is really nice. Like I said, this is the first true removal spell that we have in the game. However, it is a little bit restrictive to pull it off. It does cost 4 out of your 5 resources. There is a deck building requirement there to be playing a sufficient amount of purple units to get your trash full of them, right? Now, in the aggressive oriented matchups, I'm not sure if this is worth it, paying 4 to destroy one body when your opponent has like 5 other ones that are ready to run you over, right, is not where you want to be. In the grandier matchups versus blue-white and green-white, there's definitely an argument there, since you can blow up a really big link pair just out of nowhere, such as like your opponent's Wing Zero Hero Yui link pair. It's like an 8/9 normally, which is really hard to get rid of, but just a 1-card answer is really cool. However, it just comes back to the whole consistency thing. Can you get those 6 purple units in trash? I don't know, I'd have to be convinced otherwise. I have to see it in action. But yeah, this one seems a little bit situational otherwise. But again, removal comes at a huge premium in Gundam card games, so it might be worth it, it might not be. We'll have to see. And then the last command we'll talk about for today is Momentary Respite. Level 4, 3 costs. Burst, draw 1, and then main phase, you choose one purple pilot in your trash and add it back to your hands. I don't know if there's any purple pilots at the moment that are really important enough that you really want to fetch them back from your trash. Maybe Mikazuki, maybe Garrod, but Otherwise, like paying 3 to do that seems a little bit expensive compared to doing something like Show Resolve, which is the exact same cost and level and nets you 2 cards instead of just 1 card. It's also a little bit situational since you have to have the purple pilot in your trash. So what if you just don't draw the pilot, right? So there's definitely some arguments back and forth there. So we'll see with this one. I'm not sure about this one just yet. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up my thoughts on purple for this set. Am I right or am I wrong? Definitely let me know in the comments. If you like, check out my other reviews of the other colors for this set coming up. I'm pretty excited to be brewing around with this. We'll definitely have more content showing off like some decks that we can build, right? Purple especially, I want to really brew with. So definitely be on the lookout for that. But as always, remember to like and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.